Imagine a land of endless ice, towering mountains and rivers glistening under the northern sun. A place where indigenous tribes thrived for centuries, living in harmony with nature, unaware that distant empires would one day claim their home. This is Alaska, a frozen frontier that would pass from Russia to America, shaping history in ways no one imagined. Alaska, before foreign contact, was a realm of breathtaking natural beauty and survival challenges. Indigenous tribes like the Tlingit, Haida, Aleut, and Athabascans lived closely with the land, hunting, fishing, and passing knowledge from generation to generation. Wooden homes, totem carvings, and communal life defined culture. Seasonal cycles dictated life. Harsh winters demanded preparation and resilience, while summers offered abundant food and opportunity for community gatherings. By the 18th century, Russian explorers arrived, drawn by the promise of valuable furs. Small trading posts were established along the coastline. Interactions with native tribes introduced new goods, tools, and sometimes Russian Orthodox teachings. Life in these settlements was harsh. Long winters, isolation, and supply challenges tested settlers' endurance. Yet the fur trade flourished, with sea otter pelts shipped to China and Europe. Indigenous communities adapted, integrating some Russian tools while maintaining their cultural identity. Over decades, Russian settlements grew, but governance remained difficult due to Alaska's remote location. Costly administration and the threat of British influence made the territory more of a burden than an asset. Native life continued largely undisturbed, even as Russian forts dotted the coast. Indigenous knowledge guided settlers, creating a delicate balance between old traditions and new imperial presence. By the mid-19th century, Russia considered selling Alaska. The territory's vastness, isolation, and strategic vulnerability to British expansion motivated Tsar Alexander II to negotiate with the United States. In 1867, a historic agreement was signed. Alaska was sold to America for $7.2 million. A transaction initially mocked as Seward's Folly. For Alaskans, native and Russian, life slowly began to change under new governance. American officials arrived, surveying the land, establishing administration, and integrating Alaska into the growing United States. The transition was gradual. Native communities maintained traditions, while early settlers and traders began mapping resources, towns, and trade routes. Alaska's value soon became apparent. Rich timber, furs, and later gold discoveries reshaped its economy. The Klondike gold rush would draw thousands, introducing rapid change to the once isolated frontier. Strategically, Alaska's location proved vital. During World War II, military bases were established to defend against potential threats. Later, during the Cold War, its proximity to the Soviet Union made it critical for defense and monitoring. Indigenous knowledge, once central to survival, now guided military and economic planning. Alaska's frozen expanses had shifted from a wild frontier to a crucial asset in global geopolitics. Culturally, Alaska became a tapestry of influences. Native traditions, lingering Russian heritage, and emerging American systems blended slowly. Schools, trading posts, and small towns arose alongside traditional villages. Life in Alaska remained shaped by the land. Rivers, forests, and mountains dictated pace, season, and survival, preserving the essence of its unique history even amidst rapid change. By the early 20th century, Alaska's story reflected resilience, adaptation, and transformation. Native tribes maintained culture, settlers prospered, and America realized the strategic and economic potential of the territory. From frozen wilderness to statehood in 1959, Alaska's journey embodied human ambition, survival, and the enduring spirit of a land that had witnessed centuries of history, quietly unfolding beneath its northern lights. After Alaska became American territory, the land slowly revealed its hidden treasures. Rivers whispered secrets of gold, mountains held the promise of untapped minerals, and the forests stretched endlessly, concealing both danger and opportunity. In the 1890s, news of gold in the Klondike and other regions sparked one of the greatest migrations in Alaskan history. Thousands of prospectors, miners, and adventurers crossed icy rivers and treacherous mountains, seeking fortune. Towns like Nome and Dawson thrived briefly, as the gold rush drew people from across the continent and beyond. Life was harsh. Winters were brutal, yet the dream of gold pushed men and women into the frozen wilderness. Alongside the rush for precious metals, Alaska's forests and rivers supported other industries. Timber and fishing became vital for the growing settlements, providing sustenance and commerce. Native communities, while affected by the influx of newcomers, continued to hunt, fish, and teach traditions to younger generations. They offered guidance to settlers, sharing knowledge of the land's rhythms, hunting practices, and survival strategies. The collision of cultures, though sometimes tense, created a shared story of endurance in an unforgiving environment. The early 20th century brought new challenges and opportunities. Oil was discovered in various regions, most notably in the North Slope. The potential of this black gold transformed Alaska's economy, creating jobs, infrastructure, and eventually pipelines that would connect distant resources to national markets. The territory evolved from a remote outpost into an integral part of America's economic landscape. Settlements expanded, towns developed modern amenities, and the land that once seemed frozen and unreachable now contributed to the nation's wealth. Alaska's strategic importance became undeniable during World War II. The Aleutian Islands, in particular, became a frontline for defense against potential threats from the Pacific. Military bases were established, airfields constructed, and the local population witnessed the arrival of soldiers, engineers, and support personnel. The landscape, once quiet and isolated, was now a hub of planning and vigilance. Even the native communities participated, offering knowledge of terrain and survival that proved invaluable to military operations. After the war, the Cold War shifted global priorities. Alaska's proximity to the Soviet Union placed it at the center of strategic planning for defense and intelligence. Radar stations, observation posts, and military infrastructure expanded, integrating the territory into global geopolitics. Alaska, once seen as a remote and frozen wilderness, had become a frontline sentinel. Its mountains, rivers, and forests were no longer just natural features. They were part of a global chessboard, silently guarding against potential threats. Yet amid this militarization and economic development, the natural beauty of Alaska endured. Snow-capped peaks reflected the golden light of dawn, vast forests whispered in the wind, and rivers flowed with unchanging rhythm. Wildlife thrived alongside humans, reminding all that despite human ambition, Alaska remained fundamentally a land of nature. Eagles soared above cliffs, bears roamed valleys, and whales swam in icy waters. The story of Alaska was not only one of human conquest, but also of harmony with a powerful, enduring environment. Cultural preservation remained central. Indigenous peoples continued their traditions, ceremonies, and teachings, passing knowledge of hunting, fishing, and survival to younger generations. Russian heritage lingered in architecture, small settlements, and religious practice. Americans introduced schools, governance, and infrastructure. Over decades, these influences intertwined, creating a unique tapestry of Alaskan identity, resilient and multifaceted. By the mid-20th century, Alaska had fully transitioned from a remote, costly territory into a strategic, resource-rich, and culturally complex region. Its gold, oil, and timber fueled growth. Its rivers, mountains, and coasts provided natural protection and beauty. The land, once claimed for distant empires and later purchased for a fraction of its true value, had revealed its immense significance. Alaska had become more than a frozen frontier. It was a cornerstone of America's expansion, economy, and security. As this segment draws to a close, one realizes that Alaska's story is one of transformation and endurance. From indigenous wisdom to Russian settlement, from the Alaska Purchase to gold and oil booms, from wartime strategic bases to Cold War vigilance, every chapter contributed to a rich narrative. The frozen land, harsh yet bountiful, demanded respect and inspired awe. The journey through Alaska's history continues, reminding us of the resilience of people, the power of nature, and the unfolding tapestry of time. As the decades passed, Alaska moved steadily toward statehood. In 1959, the 49th star was added to the American flag, marking Alaska's official entry into the United States. This milestone reflected not only political progress, but also decades of transformation, from a remote Russian territory to an American state rich in resources, culture, and strategic importance. The journey had been long, challenging, and remarkable. The discovery of oil accelerated Alaska's development. Pipelines stretched across frozen tundra and rugged mountains, connecting remote fields to ports and markets. Oil became a cornerstone of the economy, reshaping towns and fueling modern infrastructure. At the same time, gold, timber, and fisheries continued to contribute to growth. Alaska was no longer just a distant frontier. It was a vital part of America's national strength, economy, and global presence. Amid rapid development, the indigenous peoples of Alaska worked to preserve their heritage. Native tribes advocated for their rights, education, and cultural continuity. Language, spiritual practices, and community traditions were carefully maintained. The wisdom of generations continued to guide life in the harsh North, reminding all that progress should not erase history. Schools and cultural centers were established, blending traditional knowledge with modern learning. Young people learned both the lessons of the land and the opportunities of the contemporary world. Alaska's strategic importance remained central during the Cold War. Military installations, radar stations, and air bases dotted the landscape. Soldiers and engineers collaborated with local communities, balancing security with respect for indigenous practices. The state's location, once remote and overlooked, now stood at the forefront of global geopolitics. Alaska had become both a guardian and a symbol of resilience, a land that bore witness to centuries of history while shaping the course of international affairs. Despite its economic and strategic transformation, Alaska's natural beauty remained unparalleled. Snow-covered mountains glowed under the sunrise, rivers carved paths through forests, and wildlife thrived across tundra and valleys. Eagles soared high, bears roamed the forests, and whales glided through icy waters. Even as towns grew and industry expanded, the majesty of the land endured. Visitors and residents alike were reminded of the delicate balance between human ambition and the timeless rhythms of nature. The cultural tapestry of Alaska deepened. Russian heritage lingered in historic towns, Orthodox churches, and local traditions. Indigenous customs continued to thrive, enriching education, art, and daily life. American governance brought schools, infrastructure, and commerce, creating a unique blend that defined modern Alaska. This fusion of influences became a defining characteristic, showcasing adaptability, resilience, and respect for history. Alaska's journey from frozen frontier to modern state reflects both human perseverance and the enduring power of nature. From indigenous life and Russian colonization to the Alaska Purchase, gold rushes, oil discoveries, and global strategic significance, every chapter contributed to its identity. The land itself shaped the people, while the people shaped the land, a continuous dialogue of challenge, adaptation, and growth. As we reach the end of this condensed 20-minute story, the frozen wilderness stands as both witness and participant in history. Life in Alaska has been defined by resilience, vision, and harmony with nature. The rivers, mountains, and forests continue to hold memories of generations past, lessons for the present, and promise for the future. Alaska is a land where history, nature, and human endeavor intersect, leaving a story that is both timeless and inspiring. In the quiet reflection of snow-covered peaks and golden sunrises, one can feel the heartbeat of Alaska, a place that has survived empires, embraced change, and grown into a modern, thriving state without losing the soul of its wild, majestic beginnings. The journey through Alaska's history, though condensed, captures the essence of a land at the edge of the world, enduring, remarkable, and unforgettable.